Hello everyone, welcome back for another late war battle report. Today's game is Jimmy versus Sherrie. This is basically the day after I played Tito against my drubbing of the Sherwood Rangers against the 9th Panzer. So it's nice for me to reflect and prepare for the next game rematch when eventually that happens. So the game today is contact, and Jimmy is going to be the attacker. So this is his list in front of us. This is just regular Armoured Panzergrenadiers, no 9th, no Greyhounds, so it's just normal skills. So we have a HQ team with so it's an Armoured Panzergrenadier company. The HQ team is just 2 MP40 teams with half-track, and then first platoon is a full team with Panzerfausts and 4 half-tracks, and second platoon is just the Grenadier team with no half-tracks. In the formation as well, we have 4 8cm mortar half-tracks and 4 Stummel armoured 7.5cm half-tracks. In support, we have some 4 big cats in the form of 4 panthers, and we also have 4 10.5cm howitzers and a Panzer 3 OP. Now for command cards, Jimmy's taken own goal, so it's going to be quite nasty for the British trying to get in reserves from turn 3. And he's also taken the 275th howitzers command cards. So basically these are worse skill rated, but they're a point cheaper, so instead of 14 it is 10 points, so not too bad for the German list. So let's have a look at what the British are going to be defending with. And here we have Sherrie's defending force. We have a Canadian rifle company, so that is 2 SMG teams for the HQ, and then we have 2 full platoons of infantry. So that's 7 Bren gun rifle teams, a Piat and a mortar in each platoon. In this formation as well are 4 6-pounders, 4 3-inch mortars and 3 universal carriers. There's also a second formation in this force. We have the new Churchills from the British D-Day book. So we have a Churchill HQ that is a late Churchill, so that is front armour 11. I know the models aren't quite that, but Elise, the HQ, we know is the front armour 11 one. And then we have 2 troops of 3 Churchills, and again we're going to be using the unit leader, the guy poking out, as the 6-pounder one, since it's a free upgrade. And in support we have 4 M10 Achilles over here, and that is the British list. And in command cards we have the Relentless card, which is the Canadian rifle company. So basically their rally is a 3+. So this is Sherrie's list. I'm pretty sure the Churchills are going in reserve, and we'll have a look at the table, which I've already started setting up. So here we have today's table, again set up using the Axis of Attack PDF. Just added a few extra little bits of cover, just in the form of some short terrain, which is just going to be some bushes. Just because this section over here, this isolated farmhouse, was a bit bare, and be a bit unfair anyone trying to attack through it or towards it or from it. So in the corners, basically this square and this square were villages, so just clumped them together. And here we have an isolated farmhouse, and then in the corner here we have forest, and then the last 2 are standing crops. So pretty straightforward, because the game is contact. I think Sherrie's already had a desire to defend the town, while Jimmy will come on from the other side. So has some cover, but there's some places that Sherrie can set up some good anti-tank guns. So let's have a look at deployment. So Sherrie has deployed in the town. This is the side she's picked to defend. So here are the 3-inch mortars in kind of cover behind this building here. And then these buildings are empty. These front 2 buildings here have a platoon of Canadians, and the HQ is right behind them in this building. And the universal carriers pushed up to their spearhead bubble, just allowed them to get into these 2. We have the 6-pounders in these bushes by here, and then the second platoon is in this building there. M10s are in ambush somewhere, and all the Churchills are in reserve, and we won't see them until at least turn 3, and obviously the own goal card might affect that. Jimmy, on the other hand, is deployed like this. So we have his second platoon without the half tracks over here with the OP. The 8cm mortars are by here, just out of range of the 6-pounders, but they're in range of their mortars. The flak 88s with no really big juicy targets to shoot at are stuck by here. And then we have nothing over here, and then here is the left flank. So we have the howitzers in the woods, and we have the HQ and 1st platoon mounted up ready to go, along with the Stummels on the left. So the Germans are still waiting for their panthers to come in. Could be first turn, we don't know. And then we will see how far they're going to advance. And if I've forgotten to put down my little note in the forces section, there are 4 flak 88s. So hopefully I remember to put that in. Because when I put the Germans out, I was thinking, oh, it doesn't look that many of them. But I think I'm used to seeing 116th and 9th Division cards, so have a little bit more points to play with. So it should be a good, interesting game, both well-matched players. British do look a little bit thin, but hopefully reserves can come in as quickly as possible for them. So we have Germans first turn. So as we go into Germans first turn, Jimmy has immediate reserves, and he's so excited for this right now. He's scrambling for dice. So on a 5+, he gets those panthers in, and he gets a 1, so that's a no. So we're going into German movement. So the Germans on the right flank of cross-country dash, they went around the fields, failed their follow me. Everything else in the centre has remained stationary, and on the left flank we had a few dashes and a couple of follow me's. So the infantry platoon are in the front, then the HQ, and then all the Stummels are mixed up between them. So we're going into the shooting phase for the Germans. A nice and fast-paced game this might be. So let's see if James's dice are hot today. So at the start of their turn, the Germans have put down a smoke barrage using the 10.5s, so that is by here, so covering the 6-pounders reaction against the armoured thrust over here. The mortars have ranged in on the 6-pounders because there's a little bit of a corridor that they can see them. Got 3 hits, but Sherrie passed her 3 saves because they do have a 3+ save, the 6-pounders, because they're a small gun. And that was it. The flak 88s have held fire to remain gone to ground. So in Sherrie's turn 1, you just have 1 pinning test to do on your 6-pounders, and they unpin on a 4. What have you got, Sherrie? A 4. Cool. Right, they're unpinned, and we're going into British turn 1. So Sherrie has not brought her ambush in, but she has successfully unpinned the 6-pounders. Only movement was the universal carriers of the cross-country dash behind the buildings and have ended up here. And that is it for British movement, and now Sherrie is going to see what she can fire with. So British shooting, the guys in the farmhouse have opened up. Did hit the lead half track a couple of times, and James did roll a 1, but unfortunately Sherrie didn't roll a 6, so could have got a bail there. These guys in this building here, one of the rifle teams was in range, so fired at the guys in the open and the mortar as well. Got a couple of hits but no kills, and then the 6-inch mortar, the 3-inch mortars ranged in thanks to the formation commander. Ranged in second attempt and got 2 kills. So again, let's get rid of the gone to ground markers. So going into German turn 2, James, you've got a pinned down platoon out in the open. That is rallying on a 4. 3, so they remain pinned, and then 2 dice for reserves. Yep, so the panthers are coming in, and now we're going into German movement. So James was really shocked because he's got his panthers on already. He wasn't expecting that, so they've tactically moved to here. Basically with their range they've got everything, one of them's got everything all the way to the farmhouse and then off the board this way covered. The infantry here have dug in because they can't move forward, so James wants them like that. Over here on the left is where the rest of the movement happened. All the infantry and the HQ got out their half-tracks into these bushes. The half-tracks have stayed with them, and the Stummels have dashed around to here. And there we have movement for the Germans, and now we're going into shooting German turn 2. So with the shooting, this house here has been peppered by some 88s and the Panthers, no kills though. The mortars rearranged in here got a hit but no kill, and this house here took a few casualties. 3 teams total are now dead thanks to the 10.5s and the half tracks and infantry firing into them. So they are getting thinned down, but there's still plenty of Canadians there. So going into Sherrie's startup step, you've got a rally test to do on the guys in the farmhouse on a 3+ because they're Canadians. What have you got, Sherrie? 5, right, they're unpinned, and then a rally test on the 6-pounders. What have you got? Sorry, Sherrie, what was it again?
A 2.
A 2, okay, so they remain pinned. And would you like your ambush to come in this turn? Okay, I'll stop recording while Sherrie makes her mind up. So Sherrie has brought her ambush in. She's brought in the Achilles. All 4 of them are right in front of the Panthers. There's long range concealment, but these are deadly guns. Rest of the movement, the UCs have moved up this way. So they're here now, again using a cross-country dash because some of them weren't quite on the road. So we thought it was fair just to keep it like that. 6-pounders are still pinned, so they're just by there. And over here the infantry are unpinned and remain in the house because it's still turn 2, no reserves for the British yet, no chances for them. It'll be next turn for them. So we're going into British shooting as we wait for James to come back from his little break. And this is where the German movement has ended last turn. So with the horde by here. So in the British shooting, the mortars rearranged in where they were and killed 2 more Germans. The M10s managed to blow up one of the Panthers. Did get another hit, but it got bounced. Elsewhere, the 6-pounders opened fire, but didn't hit anything. And the infantry in the building fired at the infantry in the bushes. Got 2 hits, but no kills. So that's where we're going so far. So going into German turn 3, James has 1 rally test on the beaten up grenadiers in the open. So we'll do that off camera because James is in the garden with the dog and he's rallying on a 4. So Germans have moved, but I did spot a little mistake I did. So basically when you pop ambush it has to be in your deployment zone, so I forgot it wasn't there because of the spearhead. It is actually back here, that is 16 inches, and it wasn't to worry about the kill on the Panther because it's the same hit number because there's still concealment going through there anyway. So it's not too bad, they were in short range anyway. So in German movement, these guys across country dashed around, the remainder of them anyway. Panthers remain still. The Flak 88s, some of them have pivoted onto the M10s, which they can see, and these guys are pushing up by the wall, so they're in some bulletproof cover. Half tracks have moved up as well, still within 6 of the unit leader, and the Stummels are pushed over here to draw some sight on the UCs coming across. So that is German movement, and now we're going into shooting. So German shooting is fairly devastating. The Panthers and the 88s managed to knock out 2 M10s and bail the other 2. Artillery, however, is failing to do its job. They have pinned the 6-pounders, who were already pinned anyway, but have had no kills. The Stummels opened up on the UCs and got no kills, and a lot of shots went into the building and the mortar is dead. So just a few guys left in here now. So now we're going into British turn 3. Sherrie, you have 2 remounts to do on your M10s, and they're remounting on a 4+. And you got another dice as well, so 1 fails. So 1 is back in, so we'll come back to them later. And then you have a pinned down 6-pounder unit, so they're rallying on a 4. Still pinned. And then the Canadians in the farmhouse rally on a 3+. No. Okay, so now you need to do a last stand on the M10s, and that is again 4+. Nope, so they are gone. So 1 drives away and 1 blows up. And then you have 1 dice for reserves. 5. So James, she gets a 5 for reserves, so do you want to use your own goal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Sherrie, roll it. A 6. Okay, so Sherrie's getting reserves in, so it's probably going to be Churchill's. So Sherrie, you need to roll now a dice to see where it comes from. So, the right-hand corner. Okay, so that's going to be very interesting. So I'll blow up this M10 and we'll get into British movement. So this is where the Churchills have come on from, so 5-6 is this corner, so surprise. The UCs have pushed up this side as well, and that is it about for British movement. So these guys can't really do anything apart from move away. 6-pounders again, same, and everything else is stationary, and then no more M10s. So Panthers kind of have a little bit more of a free reign on this battlefield. And now we're going to British shooting, turn 3. British shooting, the mortars rearranged in by here onto the oncoming infantry, and they pinned them but no kills. Over here these infantry are gone to ground because they didn't have anything to shoot at. The 6-pounders all they managed to do was bail one of the half tracks up here. The Churchills killed one of the Stummels, and the UCs killed an infantry team, and with the infantry in the building they pinned this platoon, but they do have a reroll. So going into turn 4 for the Germans, you have a rally test on the guys on your right side, James, on a 4+. Yep, so they rally. Then you have your bailed out half track, which is going back in. Yep, so that's going back in on a 5. And then you have your pinned down infantry platoon, which is rallying on a 4 by the farmhouse. And you get a 1, but you get a reroll for the formation commander, which is right behind them. What have you got? 1. So they remain pinned. So that's unfortunate for them. Okay. So we're going into German turn 4. So in the movement, these guys have pushed up 8, so they are in assault range by here, so that's quite good for the Germans because these are just mortars. The Panthers have terrain dashed over here, and the 8cm mortars are going behind them for some cover. And over here, both platoon and HQ have dug in, while the half tracks have moved out to sight of the 6-pounders, and the Stummels have moved around to get flanking shots on the Churchills, so they can bail them, but that's all they can do. So there we are for the end of German movement, so now we're going into shooting again. So German shooting, the Flak 88s did get a hit on the gone to ground infantry, but nothing happened. One of the 6-pounders did die, thanks to the 10.5s, and that was it. As you can guess, the Stummels didn't do anything. They did get a hit, but then Sherrie rolled a 3, which is more than enough. So before this turn ends, we do have an assault. So 2 guys can get in and there's no cover fire, so we'll see what happens. You never know, it could backfire. So the assault was over, the Germans got in, and because the mortars have no direct fire, there was no casualties. However, the 2 German units that got in failed to hit anything, but luckily the Canadian mortars failed their motivation to counter-attack and had to move tactical move away. One of them could not do that and get 6 inches away, so he died. 3 left, and because they broke off, they are pinned. So in Sherrie's startup step, you have no bailed out tanks, but you have a pinned down mortar team, Sherrie, that is rallying on a 4. Got a 5, so they unpin. Then you have a pin down 6-pounder unit that is unpinning on a 4. They are unpinned, and then you have your infantry platoon that unpins on a 3. They unpin, and then you have 2 dice for reserve, Sherrie. Another one. Okay, so roll a dice to see where they come in from. So that is anywhere along the side. So interesting, so we'll see where they come in from as we go into British turn 4. So this is where the Churchills have moved on from to cover this objective. The only other movement with the UCs, and these Churchills just turned on the spot. To get some front armour on those Stummels, and then this guy couldn't quite turn, but he has plenty of other targets he can go for. So we're going into British shooting on their 4th turn. So British shooting, quite a few hits on the guys in the buildings. The mortars did range in, this is best as they could do thanks to the formation commander ranging in for them, but it ranged in on the last attempt, so no hits. So these guys are not pinned and no casualties. The 6-pounders fired a few shots all over the place, no hits. And UC's got a few hits on the infantry, no kills. The Churchills split their fire between the Stummels and the infantry and managed to get rid of 1 Stummel, and that was the 6-pounder that did that. So going into Jimmy's turn 6, you have 1 pin down unit, so just roll 2 dice, you need 4s. So 3 and a 2, so yeah, no, so they're still pinned. It's unfortunate. So we're going into German turn 6. So German movement, Panthers have tactically moved into a position where they can take on the Churchills, and the 8cm mortars are stuck behind them for cover. All the other movement is the Stummels have moved to get side shots on the Churchills again, and that is about it. So we're going into German shooting on their 6th turn. So German shooting, they have succeeded in bailing a Churchill. The 10.5s have killed another 6-pounder, and the infantry here are pinned, and the Churchills are unscratched, and the UC is bailed out as well thanks to the 88s. So that is it, and now we're going into British motivation. So let me just check something. Right then, Sherrie, you have a bailed out Churchill. What you get? 3, that gets back in because they got protected ammo. You have a bailed out universal carrier. That stays bailed out, and then you have a pinned down rifle platoon. They unpin, and that is it for the motivation. Everything else is good, and obviously you get your reserves in anyway because you would be rolling 3 dice, so you need to roll the dice to see where they come on from. So that is the left corner, so I'll measure that out for you and we'll get into British movement. So this is where the unit leader, the formation commander for the Churchills ended up. So this is the late war Churchill, so front armour 11, but still just a 75mm gun, but it is in the side arc. Everything else has remained still. These guys are swiveled, so 2 of them can shoot at the Panthers, but at this range they can't really do anything, but the 6-pounder can. And that is it for British movement. So now we're going into the shooting phase again. So British shooting, no casualties over here. The only casualties in this side were in the form of the Stummels, and they are no longer present. So going into the startup step, James, you just have your pin down platoon, and you're rolling 2 dice to them because your formation commander is right next to them. So rallying on a 4. Yep, so they have rallied on a 6, so they are back in the game. And now we're going into German turn 7. So the Panthers have moved to get flanking shots on this HQ Churchill, while the 8cm mortars are moving around. Infantry here are still there, and the other platoon and the HQ are doing this. So they're going for the Churchills, while the half-tracks are sticking around to hose down the building. And that is it. So we're going into German shooting on their turn 7. So just the one hit on the Churchill, Sherrie failed to save and blown up. And what else have we got? All the UCs are either bailed or destroyed. This infantry team is pinned again, but no hits with the Panzerfaust on the HQ. So we are going to go into an assault. Very interesting. And the anti-tank gun on the half-track was what killed this UC. So assault, turn 7. So as the Grenadiers went in, they took 7 hits from the Churchills, which forced them back, and then quite a few of them were failed, so only 2 in that platoon left. So going into British startup step, Sherrie, you've got 2 bailed out universal carriers getting back in on a 4. So a 6, and you got another one as well?
And 2.
Okay, so that one stays bailed out, so that will need a last stand. You have a pinned down platoon in the building. 4, so they unpin, and then your 6-pounders need a 4 to rally.
And they get 5.
Nice, so they unpin as well. So last thing to do then is you need a last stand on your universal carriers. 4. I think that 4 is not going to be enough. The universal carrier last time, no, they run away. So we're going into British turn 7. So for movement, the Churchills have remained where they are because they can't see at least one of the 8cm mortars. The platoon here have moved from this building, and they're in this building here, the cafe and this damaged building. And the one Churchill has moved to within assault range of the infantry here and the HQ, and that is it. So now we're going into British shooting, turn 7. So the Churchills have taken out one of the 8cm guns. The British counterparts, their mortars, tried to range in but failed on all 3 attempts. That was it over here. The 6-pounder managed to bail out one of the half-tracks, and the Churchills have killed everyone apart from one unit leader, who is now the formation commander. So an assault is coming, but they do have a Panzerfaust, so we'll see what happens. So these Churchills have got rid of the last team, failed the hit with the Panzerfaust, so these half-tracks will go because they have no units to go with them. Formation is still here, so because he's got this platoon here and he has the half-tracks left, so going into German turn 8 and there's no motivations to do. So German movement, the 3 Panthers have moved to engage the Churchills, and the 8cm mortars are hidden, and the team that's gone to ground is going to stay there. So there's still plenty of firepower for the Germans, the howitzers, the 88s and the Panthers. So we're going into German shooting, turn 8. German shooting, another Churchill's been knocked out by the Panthers, and another unit has been killed in this farmhouse by the 10.5cm howitzers. So going into British turn 8, Sherrie, you've got a pinned down team in the farmhouse on a 3+ you're rallying. Yep, they rally, and now we're going into the movement. Right then, so the British infantry have moved into assault range. Might get a few shots off as they get into these guys in the building, so that's one of the remaining 2 formation units left. And everything else has remained stationary, just banking on that this will work. So we're going into shooting. So far, no softening up of the infantry, not enough hits to pin them, so I still think Sherrie is going to go on with assault and hopefully end this game. So we're going into assault, turn 8. Unfortunately, the assault got forced back, exactly 5 hits was needed to stop them, so they are back by there. So we're going into German turn 9. So the Panthers did a blitz to try and get up onto the wall. They failed, so then they just tactically moved up anyway, and the half-tracks are moved to use their MGs on the infantry in the open, so we should have a few less of these. So German shooting. So with about 12 MG shots into this infantry team, only one got killed, and again the team in the farmhouse got pinned. So Sherrie, you have a pinned down team in the middle of the town that rallies on a 3+. They rally, and then the ones in the farmhouse, and they don't rally. So we're going into British turn 9. So this is British movement. The Churchills have moved out of sight of the Panthers and into range on the 8cm mortars, and the infantry here are ready to assault the guys in the building again. Hopefully it'll go better than last time. So British shooting. So I did the shooting and assault, so I'll summarise both. So basically the Churchills managed to bail out one of the 8cm, and the assault failed. They lost 2 more bases, I think. Thanks to the half-tracks and the team in the building, so still raging on to turn 10. So James, you've got your bailed out half-track to get back in. I know, he stays bailed out, and that is it. We can get straight on into your movement again. So in the movement step for the Germans, the 8cm mortars got out of the way, and the Panthers and the infantry hosed down the infantry, and James is going to do a shoot and scoot with the Panthers on a 3+. He does, and then you got 3 dice to do cross checks, and basically don't roll ones. 5, 6, so they all get over. Okay, and now Sherrie's got some motivation, so you have a pinned down unit in the middle of the town, Sherrie, on a 3+. They don't, and then the ones in the farmhouse. They don't, and now you have 2 last stand tests. You have the guys in the town on a 4+. No, and the 6-pounders as well. No, so they're gone, so their formation is down to 2 units now, and now we're going into British movement again. So there was no movement for the British, since we're not bothering to move anything, because by the time it will take to get here it'll be too late anyway. So the Churchills fired, got 2 hits, main gun hits on the guys in the building, and 1 has died. So going into German turn 11, there's no, well, it's basically it's a pin down half track. James getting back in on a 4. Doesn't get back in. And then the last one, this is the main one. So if these guys fail their last stand, it's game. And they're passing on a 3+. So 5. So we continue with this marathon of a game for a few more turns. So in this last turn, the Panthers have moved here, and they killed 1 Churchill and bailed the other. These half-tracks basically mowed down the mortars, and then the infantry came out and assaulted, and they were within 4 inches at the start. The mortars failed their counterattack and got wiped out, and this bailed out Churchill cannot hold the objective. So that is a win for James. With what he has left of his formation is 2 infantry teams and 3 half-tracks, one of which is bailed, and then the rest is just piles of wreckage everywhere. Well, so not so much wreckage, a lot of dead infantry mowed around the place, and again the Churchill's just kind of stuck over by here for a bit. And that is game. A long one, a drawn out one, and I think all 3 of us are quite happy it is finished. We thought this go on for a little bit more. So hope you enjoyed. I know Encounter's a bit of a tricky one, and unfortunately this one was a bit of a grind, but James has got a win and he's happy. So again, please subscribe. I got a little button at the bottom of this, and hopefully James and Sherrie will enjoy their next games with future opponents. So everyone stay safe.